So guys, today is meeting number 1, and today is January 1st, 2023. What a wonderful time to start a new life with a new year and with a better life, with studying Buddha's brain. Guys, who is Buddha? Before we'll start to study his brain, let's figure out who is he. I can tell you that for a long time, I actually thought not who he is exactly, so it's completely can be confusing. Yes, Dan?
Well, the historical Buddha was a man who lived in 500 BC in India. And, there's a whole story about how he was born a prince and was in a palace and left the princely life and became enlightened. So that's the short version. Buddha is also a general term for a person who becomes fully enlightened. So I'm not sure if that's all you're asking for or if you need more, because a person could go on and on.
You answered beautifully. You answered beautifully. Very, very concise and to the point. Thank you, Dana. I even don't want to add anything because you said everything. What one thing I want to add, that before he was enlightened, actually his name is Siddhartha, and I watched a beautiful movie about him. He was training his mind. He was basically like a scientist. He was studying his mind for many, many years, maybe a decade. And at the night of his awakening, he looked deep into his mind and he saw both the causes of suffering and the path of freedom from suffering. And then for 40 years, he wandered northern India and they teach anybody who listened to him. And because of all of that, Einstein said, if there is any religion that would cope with modern scientific needs, it would be Buddhism. And just not recently, in recent years, many scientists turn toward Buddhism, and they actually proved that it's actually science of the brain. Who would know, right? And what I want to say that probably now we can believe two guys who we can believe. Can we believe Buddha? Yes, of course. 500,000 millions people practicing his religion. And we can believe Einstein, and he is a physicist, right, if I remember, and one of the genius in the world. So let's be a little bit more open to the scientific approach to this spirituality. This is wouldn't be a religion of Buddhism. This is a union of religion and the scientific approach, because this book was written by two scientists, neuroscience and a neuropsychologist. So this would be everything based on science. So let's start from the beginning, the causes of suffering. If I've heard many people read at the beginning, so do you remember what does it mean? The mind uses the brain to make the mind.
Couldn't the mind refer more to like our level of awareness or level of consciousness in terms of whether our actions are like virtuous or non-virtuous, or what the consequences will be, versus like the brain, which is more the physical, like the actual physical component?
Okay, you're on the right way. Thank you, Dan.
I guess I'm a little confused by the statement because we have not defined what is the mind. The mind uses the brain to make, I think we all know the brain is a physical organ inside of our
Yes.
body. So there's probably a lot of different opinions about what is a mind. And actually, in the previous slide, when you're talking about the brain in Buddhism and whatever being the mind, in the kind of Buddhism that I study, the mind, like it's a Tibetan, for example, would point to the mind as being at the heart level. So the brain and the mind are not equated. So I guess maybe there's a little defining of the mind needs to happen here.
Yes, Dan, thank you for clarification. Let's do not put what we learned in Buddhism and in Christianity and Hinduism, because it would be confusion. How I mentioned, this is scientific approach of this book. So, and I actually thought about it, but I think you are completely right already. Two of you answered that brain is a physical organ, and the mind is what is the production of the brain. So I would answer very easy like that. But the most important, the brain is a physical organ if we will go from scientific point of view. Yes, Richard.
This kind of question, I always equate it to something that I know very well, and it's a computer. So as far as the brain goes, I see it as the physical computer or laptop that sits in front of you, but the mind is the software that runs inside that computer.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And guys, what do you think? What was the first, the brain or the mind? And I don't talk. Let's remember about that. We don't talk from the spiritual point of view, because it's spiritual, it will be different. Let's talk about science, and science is pure physical, right? So from what our point of view of our when we were born, what is the first, mind or brain? Yes, Dan.
I guess if we're talking from the science point of view, I still feel like we need to define what the mind is, even from a science point of view. I think we're just, so far what I've heard is just from a Western guessing point of view of what we think the mind is, but I don't think there's agreement necessarily even among Westerners about what the mind is, and I don't know what science says about it. Maybe you can tell us.
What, Rachel?
Yes, hi. Yeah, it's actually in the book. So there is a clarification of what the
Go
mind
ahead.
is.
Thank you for help.
Yeah, so I have to get to it, just one moment. But yeah, it's basically it says that it's shaped that the largest sense your mind is made by your brain, body, natural world, and human culture.
Exactly. It's what we were saying, but very easy and light. And the book is so big that I was not able to put everything. But thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much for clarification, and thank you, Dan, for your precise mind. So my question was, guys, what do you think on an easy level, on a human experience, what was the first, brain or mind?
Brain.
Of course, brain. So what I wanted to say, just imagine a child was born. And of course, he doesn't have mind. Again, on a physical level, guys, don't think about spirituality. Otherwise, we will deep into different areas and we will be lost. We right now try to understand how our brain is working and why our brain create problems. And brain belongs to our physical body. Brain do not belong to spirituality. When child was born, he has brain, and his brain is pure, like a piece of paper. And whatever the child sees, whatever parents put in his brain. It's become, they are forming his brain. And after when the person is growing, child is growing, he or she begin to think. And whatever they think, their mind put in their brain, and they, like a road, the thoughts are going into the brain. So this is what child got from parents. This, the mind, the first part, is what a child think. Then child put into the brain. And this is the conclusion what child did. So this is what doesn't mean the mind uses the brain to make the mind. What happens in your mind changes your brain. And now it's a little bit different. And how do we understand this? Both temporarily and in lasting ways. Neurons that fire together, wire together. This everybody knows. But what does it mean? What happens in your mind changes your brain. Sean?
What do you think about, you bring about, more what goes on in our mind changes who we are, our actions and our thoughts and our habits and our routines.
Right. Do you think is it happen fast, or it's during the time?
It doesn't happen fast. No, I think little by little.
Yes. Richard?
From what I remember in biology a long time ago, neurons, I believe, are the areas where we keep our memory. And as we create memories, we're creating neurons that stay there for the time that we have that memory. So, but in any case, memories that stay in our minds, our brains, are actually taking up space.
Yes, thank you. And what happens in your brain changes your mind, since the brain and mind are single, integrated system. So both of ways are working, mind and brain. So with our mind, we are basically, in our age, we can create a new brain, but it's not an easy job. But it's possible.
The brain has different parts to it that react, like fight or flight, and
yes,
and it gives, like, signals. And when something's out of alignment, because the brain wants everything to be balanced and measured out in terms of equilibrium. So that's like fear. We get fear signals. We get hunger signals. A lot of them are primitive. So, like sometimes they're incorrect based on even what we mentally think should be happening in our life in a situation, but we react from those brain signals that really are quite primitive, that are for our protection.
Yes, we will talk a little bit about it a little bit further. Thank you, Rachel. Right now we are making like overview, but thank you. Your comment is absolutely correct. The brain evolved to help you survive, but its primary survival strategies also make you suffer. This is just read it, who didn't read the book. Let's don't discuss, because in the forward a little bit, we will discuss it much more deeper. Just remember that what is make you suffer, primary survival strategies. Small positive actions, it's what Sean said, that it's not right away changes. Small positive actions every day will add up to large changes over time. As you gradually build new neuron structures, to keep at it, you need to be on your own side. So guys, this was just overview, and let's dig it a little bit deeper, like completely and exactly the causes of suffering. I will just read sometimes, and then I will ask you to read. Please participate. Over hundreds of millions of years of evolution, our ancestors developed 3 fundamental strategies for survival. My question is, how do we relate to ancestors? Why do we need to even talk about them? Done?
Well, our DNA comes from them. So through our genetics, you know, we're children of our ancestors.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very, very precise question, answer. Richard?
And I would think that they also pass on information from one family or from one parent to the child throughout the generations.
Great, great, guys. You're very intelligent. Absolutely great and precise answers. Katie, please.
I'm not sure if this is in the scope of this topic, but because it's a spiritual perspective, but because I believe that everything's energy and we're all energetically connected. So we still have bonds, energetic bonds unseen to even our ancestors. So when we start healing ourselves, therefore we heal our ancestors and even future generations. Thank you.
Absolutely. And plus, what you added, you like added a cherry on the top. Guys who were Dan and Richard, you were absolutely correct. And you were in the range of our conversation. And Katie, you're absolutely correct. You added something else, which is absolutely correct. Yes, guys, our brain is like an iceberg. The top is consciousness, but our consciousness is like this, and the rest is unconsciousness. And all information of our ancestors saved in our unconsciousness. This is why we behaved, and we have no idea why we behave that way. Creating separation. In order to form boundaries between themselves and the world, and between one mental state and another. So what does it mean that our ancestors creating separation? So what's wrong with separation?
So considering these are strategies for survival, and creating separation is then a strategy for survival, you want to, I would think that we want to be separated from things that are threatening to us. And I guess that's where the separation comes in.
Your answer is very good, is very good. Yeah, guys, I decided do not put you into my spiritual beliefs about that we are all one. I will just tell one sentence that all our Earth, all our planet is a one organism. And we need to live in unison with everything. So God is our planet, and we are a little part of God. Like our body, for example, my body, and every cell in my body is a part of me. So Aristotle said, learn yourself and you will know the world. So like every cell in my body is belong to me, and every cell of my body work for me. And I love every cell of my body, right? And everything is united. The same thing with our planet. Our planet is one organism. You can call it God, you can call it consciousness. And everything is cells of God or cells of consciousness. For example, we can be brain of God or consciousness. Animals is also cells of God. nature is also cells of God. So we're all united. We cannot live separate. Like my cell of my eye cannot live separate. They all unite. So this is, I will stop on it. Yes, Katie.
I would just add, not to belabor the point, is that, yeah, even though we're all part of the collective consciousness, we're all one, we are individuated. And that means we each have our own free will, voluntary free will, whether it's consciously exhibited or unconsciously, to determine our fate, our life path, our decisions. So I want to say the separation to me means the extension of our free will, individuated free will. Thank you.
Okay, I'm thinking about what you said. Let's leave it as it is, because it would be pure spiritual debate. I respect your opinion and always enjoy listening to you. Thank you, Katie. So, and if we come back again to our ancestors, guys, because they were striving for survival, right now, even psychology already show what is our top of our human development. This was our ancestors. They were at basic needs: food, water, warmth, and rest, right? And then is going psychological needs. And guys, we are striving, every single person in the world striving for self-actualization. And it's how it's saying in psychology, in spirituality, we would say self-awareness, enlightenment, self-realization. So let's go for this. And but our brain, why I put this hierarchy, it's very famous in psychology. I wanted to tell that our brain still remembers everything with these basic needs. Our brain still remember in unconscious all these problems, what was with our ancestors. So let's recognize it and work with it. The second, we are at the causes of suffering, maintaining stability in order to keep physical and mental systems in a healthy balance. Looks like nothing, no problem, right? How can it be the cause of suffering? We are trying to maintain stability right now. And number three, approaching opportunities and avoiding threats. And again, the same problem. In order to gain things that promote offspring and escape and resist things they don't. What's wrong with it? We still to try to avoid threats, right? And it said that they are very effective, these strategies for survival, but Mother Nature doesn't care how we feel. So my question, we will go further. Let's figure out what's wrong with these three causes. And again, it's creating separations, maintaining stability, and approaching opportunities and avoiding threats. Number first, do you remember? It's creating separation. Actually, everything is connected. Number two, maintaining stability. And actually, everything keeps changing. What's the problem with that, guys? That we are trying to get stability, but it is unreal. And you know, when we try to reach something unreal, we create the problems, the stress, fear, and anxiety into our minds. So saying simply, with simple language, just understand it, that everything keeps changing. And whatever is change, embrace the change, because you just simply cannot keep stability for the rest of your life. How simple is that? And how helpful is that? To me, it's helpful. And number 3, approaching opportunities and avoiding threats. Opportunities routinely remain unfulfilled or lose their luster, and many threats are unescapable. So again, the same story. We cannot avoid some threats. Some threats are unescapable. So if something happens, if you're a threat, just accept it. It doesn't mean accept, it's a big, confusing word. Some people, especially on the beginning of their spiritual path, they've heard, okay, humility and acceptance. Yes, let me accept everything from people because I'm humble. We need to accept for our spiritual calmness, for our spiritual spirit, or how to say, for our spirituality, for ourselves, to keep our mind calm. But we need to keep our boundaries, and we need to adjust our behavior accordingly. Guys, what do you want to say about the reality, about these 3 things which are, I will just remind you, 3 causes of suffering? It's creating separation, maintaining stability, and approaching opportunities and avoiding threats. And in fact, it's all of this. Yes, Katie?
Thank you. I was just going to say, when you accept, you're not resisting. And I think that's very important.
Yes.
And I think not resisting, you can make better life decisions. You're just in a more balanced state of mind. And another thing about everything keeps changing. I think that's how we evolve physically and spiritually. I mean, I think the saying survival of the fittest is not really accurate. I feel like survival of those that adapt the quickest. So when there's change, it's about how do you adapt to that change? How do you move with that change? So those are just my two points on this topic. Thank you.
Yes, beautiful, Katie. Thank you. Richard?
I just wanted to add my thoughts on the word accept. And to me, accept is different from agree. Agree and accept are 2 very different things to me. Accepting means that that we're not going to be looking for we're not going to be confused about the problem. We're not going to be looking for blame, but just accept that this has happened, and then move with a clearer mind to solutions.
Accurate, and Edin, thank you so much. Anybody else, guys, want to say your opinion? Okay, we will talk more. Let's move ahead. Guys, do I have a volunteer to read the whole slide? Hey guys, please read. I don't want to talk only. I want that you would participate too. Yes, Richard, please.
I'll give it my best.
You can. Thank you.
Most animals don't have nervous systems complex enough to allow these strategies, alarms, to grow into significant distress. Only we humans, with our vastly developed brain, worry about the future, regret the past, and blame ourselves for the present. We get frustrated and disappointed when we can't have what we want. We suffer that we suffer. We get upset about being in pain, angry about dying, sad about waking up sad. This kind of suffering is constructed by the brain. And I can't see the corner there.
It is made up.
Oh, it is made up, which is ironic, poignant, and supremely hopeful.
What do you think about it? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree?
I agree. I don't think animals know their mortality the same way we do. They don't contemplate it as much, for instance. You know, they're probably not worried about the retirement, or not worried about if they're going to die of old age, or how their hair looks, or they're not really the same. Like that. Yeah.
Yes, guys. Yes, Sean, I agree. Anybody else? What was for me, yes, Katie, one moment, that all kinds of suffering is constructed by the brain. I would say all kinds of suffering. And we will talk about it a little bit later. So I don't talk about physical pain and suffering. We need to understand, right, that physical pain is pain, and it's real. And we are talking suffering, it's going toward mental suffering, emotional suffering. So it's these two different things is very important to understand. Yes, Katie.
Thank you. I think this excerpt is very true, but I do feel like the issue is with the suffering is that we get threat. Going back to the word threat, and seeing these as challenges.
We'll move here to keep an eye on the field.
Oh, okay.
So as soon as somebody's out, I'll jump on it.
I saw somebody, a lot of people were waiting for the last one. So I guess it's not
Yeah,
accurate.
Katie
I want the
is
lady
So if
something.
somebody leaves, we'll jump on it. That's what we move here. In the meantime,
Oh, no, it is not you.
Let me watch you train. Let me watch you in action.
Can you unmute yourself, Katie?
No, it's
Remember-
Carolina. Carolina
Yes.
keeps showing up. She needs to mute.
Okay, yes, I did. Sorry, Katie, I thought it's you. Can you repeat?
So I do agree with this excerpt, and I feel that the suffering is coming from what most human beings perceive as threats, where and not to talk about spirituality, but that's my background, where a lot of the threats are really challenges for our inner growth, for us to evolve spiritually. So many times, I think it's just our conditioning, the way we've been raised, our ancestry, etc., where we will come upon challenges, take them as suffering, take them as threats, when we need to reframe our thinking, our conditioning to say, why is this being presented for my inner growth? How am I supposed to grow and evolve from this? Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you again from all my heart. Thank you so much. Why I want to keep it on a basic level of our physical existence, because this is, I'm spiritual too. And if we will talk right now about spirituality, it's a different topic. We are here to understand why our physical brain creates problems. If we will stay on it, we will understand this. We will understand why our physical brain creates physical problems, not physical problems, mental problems. And we will work on it. And when we will solve this, when we will harness our brain, physical brain, then we are free to go to spirituality. Then we can approach any spirituality. It would be easy for us, because right now, to achieve spirituality, true spirituality, our physical mammalian, reptilian brain of our ancestors stays in the ways. It keeps us be afraid, with fear, with anxiety, and all those problems. So I hope I explain what I want to stay on this topic, pure physical brain. Thank you again, Katie.
Thank
Ben,
you.
please.
Keep going back to that. I'm sorry. I'll try to keep
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's absolutely, I appreciate your honesty, appreciate your comments a lot. Thank you so much, Katie. Ben, please.
Yeah, the thing of suffering, it definitely the mind creates it, but I think because the mind lives in culture, and culture creates the mind, so it's like the chicken and the egg. The culture will give you all kinds of goals and aspirations, and then you have to suffer in order to get them. And then after you get them, if you did get them, they don't satisfy you because your satisfaction is based on the desires of the culture, and you become an instrument for the culture to survive, not for the individual to survive, but because we are part of a big brain of the culture, we suffer because the culture is like a brain, it's like a nervous system that has different jobs and different positions, and some of them are heroes, they die in war, and they have to sacrifice themselves for the group. Why? Because that's their job. They have to be heroes for the tribe or for the country or for the whatever. And where I'm going with that is, in reality, yes, we do create suffering on the psychological, and it transfers itself to the physical. Because the physical is automatic. It doesn't matter. You get a cut, it will heal. You just have to nurse your cut, it will heal. The brain does not heal the same way. Time heals, they say, and it's true. Time heals. But it has to pass enough time to heal. But if you keep thinking about it all the time doesn't pass, because that's why people have PTSD. They have traumas, because the impact of the emotional impact was so big, so strong, that like Pavlov and the dog and salivation and the bell, each time the dog listened to the bell because it was adapted to the bell and to the food and to salivate. Same thing, we do it. The problem is to underestimate that we are kind of thinking animals, and we think we are more than that, and we automatic more than we think we are thinking. We're not sapient, we are reactive mind.
Yes.
So said that, so I give you other people opportunity and for yourself to present it, is we have to look really deep inside who we are. And in reality, I was thinking about the other day, in our materialistic system, I am what I own. I am what I have responsibility to. I am what I live in from, like my job or some money I get from. So in a certain degree, I'm just that. I'm just a function in society. Who I
Very
am.
accurate question. Yes, Ben.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, sorry, I thought you finished. I really didn't want to interrupt you.
No, I'm saying we become a function. We become a function. You know, I was thinking about that. And most of the time you live that when you really close to death. You have days to live, like in hospice. You have a terminal disease. Then you realize really who you are, and then you relax because you realize you were not all those things that you're working all your life for.
Right. Let's figure out a little bit earlier, not before our death. This is why we are here.
Yes, correct. It's
Thank
good to
you,
do that
Ben.
before.
Yes, I absolutely with you. Very accurate and deliberate question, comment. Thank you so much. So let's move ahead. This is just I post for myself about some neuromodulators. This well-known serotonin, which is regulate mood, sleep, digestion. Its most antidepressants aim at increasing its effect. Dopamine, norepinephrine, alert arouses, acetylcholine promotes wakefulness, and everybody knows cortisol, which is released by adrenal glands during the stress response, and estrogen. The brain of both men and women contain estrogen receptors, and it's well known for memory. This is not just for your brief review. And now we are going to the topic, approaching involves suffering. And there I would, do I have a volunteer to read?
I'll go ahead and read.
Yes, please.
Approaching involves suffering. When you do fulfill a desire, the rewards that follow are often not that great. They're okay, but look closely at your experience. Is the cookie really that tasty, especially after the third bite? Was the satisfaction of the good job review that intense or long-lasting?
What do you think about it, guys?
Well, that's absolutely true. I think we probably don't realize it, but unless you really give it some thought, that that all that we desire when we get it is just not as much as we envisioned in our imaginations it would be. Our anticipation is part of the fun, I think, that we imagine how great it'll be, but when it actually happens, I think it's modified. I wouldn't say it's not good. The cookie certainly tastes good, and getting a good job review, you can let it glow inside you for a while, but I think it's the anticipation that leads to the disappointment that it's like expecting to see a really great movie after everybody really talks it up, and then it's a lot less than what you anticipate. So I think the result of what you receive is conditioned by what your anticipation of it was going to be. And I think most of the time we anticipate a bigger reward than we actually receive.
Oh, such a beautiful answer. Thank you so much. I personally don't have anything to add, but we will listen. Richard and Maria, welcome. Very nice to see you.
Hi, I'm sorry I couldn't join at 6:30, but I was working and now I'm heading to the airport to pick up my son. He's coming from New York City, but I didn't want to miss it. I just wanted to. I agree with what I don't know her name because I'm driving and I can't see who she is, but I agree with what she's saying, and also to add to that, we start creating a narrative and a story and perceptions of how we want things to end up. So we are already expecting something, and when we get there, it may not meet our expectations. So we may become disappointed.
Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, I think Rachel was saying, right, that she said so nicely, yes, and Maria, you added beautifully. Yes, Richard.
Just one additional thing that's
yes, please.
Like, for example, with material things that we may desire, they come with responsibilities probably that we didn't expect. Like, for example, if you really, really want a puppy, you can get one, and it may not turn out the way exactly you expected, but it comes with a whole set of responsibilities now as far as feeding it, walking it, and all those things may turn out to be not that great.
Yes, sir. Thank you for adding. So how can we put it in our life? What we need to remember? How this will help us in reducing our suffering? Yes, Ben?
Yeah, well, the first noble truth is there is suffering. Regardless how little suffering you have, you still will have suffering. So the acceptance that there is a level of suffering, there's a base suffering that is always going to be there, regardless what you do, is, I would say, like an example. If you have constipation, you will suffer each time you go to the bathroom because you have to push in order to get it out. But if you eat foods that have a low fiber and vegetables and moving foods, you won't suffer that much when you go to the bathroom. With that is everything else. Everything else in your life moves in a certain way. When you resist or when you don't give enough water or fiber in your existence, you get constipated in your mind, in your heart, in your soul. It's just like, I'll give you an example. Sometimes money, people think the money is a solution. But after you made some money and you have some money, it becomes old money. It becomes money that doesn't have no life. Now, when you make money that is fresh and new, it has meaning. It has some degree of suffering to it that give it value. So to some degree, you need suffering in order to don't suffer. So the only way, so you're not going to suffer as much, is to know where you're suffering, so you smooth it up, put some cream, and keep going. Why? Because that's the way the world is. In one moment you were born, you're going to start suffering. And the Buddha suffered the moment he was born. His mother died. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ben. You're adding correct, and we will talk about it a little bit further. My question was how approaching, which involves suffering, how can we put it in our life? How can we insert in our life? What we need to do with this? Okay, we somebody learned, somebody know that, and they just refresh. My question, how with this approach can we use in our life to make us less suffer? Yes, Maria, please.
I'm sorry, I had a question based on what who was
Go
talking?
ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm driving. Who's talking? Who was talking?
Ben.
Ben. Yeah, I had a question about Ben, about what Ben was saying. So as I'm listening to him, then it seems like it is sometimes a choice to suffer, and sometimes it is within our own resolve to minimize the suffering and to find a solution to treat the suffering.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking as I was listening to him.
Okay. Okay. About the total suffering, we will not total. We will talk a little bit later about it. Right now, again, I'm asking about approaching. So, how
can you describe what approaching is again?
Yes, it's what right now is on the screen.
Like, I can't read it because I'm driving.
Okay, when we have our desire, I think Rachel, you were saying very nicely about it, that when we anticipate something, basically anticipation is greater than reward. This is what I wanted to say, but I cannot say before. I want to listen to you first, and then I will say. Go ahead, Rachel.
So, may I say something?
Yes, go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, it's Maria.
Okay. Oh,
sorry.
How do we know whose turn it is? I'm sorry.
I think Maria said already, right, Maria?
Well, I wanted to answer your question or add on to your question to how we can what was the question again? Sorry.
Anticipation is greater than reward.
So how we can, your question was how we can stop it, right? How we can stop.
Right.
Okay. So in my line of work, for example, I under promise. So when I deliver, there's no disappointment. So I think if we don't over promise ourselves that we are getting, our anticipation will be will not let us down once we get to that final destination, you know, to the final reward. So let's not over compensate or over plan or over promise that in that way we can not be disappointed or not suffer as much, you know.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Rachel?
Yes, I agree with all the above. The only thing I was going to add is that what I think, well, two parts. One is with it, we're going to have pain. I mean, that's the thing. Suffering is the reaction to the pain or to the lack of satisfaction. And I think that we could help ourselves by our thoughts. And, you know, like we are the only beings that, you know, do regret the past and fear the future and are not present in the present. So with that said, I think that it's the anticipation, as I said before, and the way we could maybe reduce that is by realizing that it's all our imagination. We really don't know what's going to happen in the future. And so then we could simply monitor our thought better to say, wow, I really don't know. I'll give you an example. Like, let's say, you know, a good friend of yours is supposed to call and they don't. Right away, you know, you wait and you're calm and then you start worrying, oh my God, what if something happened? And then your mind goes through this whole thing and then they call and everything was fine. They just got delayed for some very simple reason. But we tend to fear the worst. And on the same turn, the opposite note, we tend to over expect. So maybe it's dealing with the way our imaginations work that we should just recognize we really don't know what it's going to be.
Absolutely. Katie?
We need to find balance, you know, find a balance. If we're think that the best of the best, if we're pessimistic, then so we need to find a balance where we
right.
are, you know.
Right, Maria. Balance it's yes, it's a good point there. Katie, please.
Thank you. I love what Maria said, that suffering is a choice. And I know that's probably not part of this discussion because it's based on physical responses, but I just love that she said that. But I think the ways to alleviate having like unbalanced anticipation and then reaching a goal and then being disappointed afterwards. I think it's totally a practical left brain exercise. Instead of being overly optimistic, non-realistic, you really have to apply your left brain logic and say, look, I want to get a promotion. I got the promotion, but now I know that might mean I'm going to work more hours. That might mean some of the people I supervise might not like the way I manage. So I feel like it's a total left brain exercise where if you have a goal or you have a desire and you meet it, to go through the steps to say, well, what could be some possible cons from this outcome so I am not 100% disappointed. So you prepare yourself, embrace yourself mentally for somewhat like the low vibrational fallout that you may experience. Just going through that mental exercise beforehand. When you reach your desire, I think that would be very helpful.
Yes, Katie. Yes, thank you so much. Beautiful adding. So, guys, just summarize. Say simply, when you have anticipation, just remember that it's not that great will be the reward. One of the major suffering is going in our anticipation. So we just need to catch ourselves when we want something. Just remember how we are suffering if we didn't get something what we want. Just catch yourself in that moment. And your suffering will go half of the less. When rewards are in fact pretty great, it's like a situation, many of them still come at the stiff price. What is the cost-benefit ratio, really? Just remember about it when we want something. Every pleasant experience must inevitably change and end. And remember about this too. So this is number one, to remember, and remember to catch yourself while we are anticipating something. And this is going facts about our brain. The brain is drawn to bad news. One of the functions of our brain is tracking environment, our environment, and body for the possible threats. And this is going our ancestors, right? And this makes sense because our mammalian and the primate and human ancestors, they were prey as well as predators. And in addition, most primitive social groups were been full of aggression. So again, this is a fact, guys. We need to know that the brain is drawn to bad news. I'm sure for everyone it's not the news, but remember about it. It's important. What do you think, high priority storage in our brain? Positive or negative information? Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Negative information is high priority storage for brain. Why?
Protection, survival.
It's a defense
Exactly.
mechanism.
Yes, yes. It's just, we need to remember that this is just a function of our brain. So how to fix it? How to store more positive information than negative information? We need to start to work against the just normal function of our brain. We need to be aware of it. When we don't aware, brain is working by itself, and the next will be even more scary. So we allow our brain to work on its own. Yes, Ben?
Basically, is to recognize that it's going to appear is the first reaction. And then you have to do your part to find out if it is a pattern or not. You know, because fear sometimes is not really what it appears to be. And then it will paralyze you if you want to move forward. It doesn't let you flow. It paralyzes. So in a certain sense, we are more geared for the negative because of protection. Naturally, you protect yourself. You react to something. And then after you react, you can look at it and find out is really a threat or not. So I don't know. Each person has his own way of dealing with that.
Right. Thank you, Ben. Negative trumps positive. This is an interesting thing. So when an event is flagged as negative, the hippocampus makes sure it stores carefully for future reference. So do you understand, guys, that when something negative is happening, our brain automatically, carefully stored it for the future reference? And then the author compared that your brain is like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive one. So it's just a function of our brain, and we need to be aware. I'm absolutely sure in schools it will be taught. It's actually already taught, but we keep forgetting. So, and your brain has a built-in negative bias. So negative events generally have more impact than positive ones. For example, if some failure happens, it's very easy to be helpless. learn very quickly. But even if happen many successes, it's difficult to remove that helplessness. In a relationship, it's very interesting that to overcome one negative situation, it needs 5 positive interactions in order that it would release from your brain. So, and this bias actually makes us suffer in many, many ways, which we will right now, we will discuss. And the virtual reality, this is very interesting, guys. You remember I said that hippocampus makes sure that negative information, negative situation carefully stored in your brain for future reference. And you know that all that negative information operate in the background of your awareness, wiring and firing quietly alone. And it's all in your unconscious. So can you imagine how we need to be strong to know that it's going automatically? We are unaware of it, but it's stored. How much we need to concentrate on positive information and disregard the negative information, of course, till some degree. I don't say completely disregard, but be aware that negative information is stored by the brain by itself. Please, do I have a volunteer to read? I mean, what this would, in fact. Yes, Richard, please.
In fact, much of what you see out there is actually manufactured in here by your brain, painted in like computer-generated graphics in a movie. Only a small fraction of the inputs to your occipital lobe comes directly from the external world. The rest comes from internal memory, stored and perpetual processing modules. Your brain simulates the world. Each of us lives in a virtual reality that's close enough to the real thing that we don't bump into the furniture.
What do you think about it? Your brain simulates the world. Each of us lives in a virtual reality. And this is science. Yeah, just let's be aware of it. What can I say more? I'm reading it very often in order to remember about it. It's actually help us to be more acceptable to the other people, because we now we live in our own reality and they live in their own reality. Small fraction comes from the external world. Guys, only small fraction. And the rest comes from our internal stores, from our internal memory. This is why I was stopping, trying to stop all spiritual talking, because we need to fix this. And then the spirituality will come very easy, effortlessly. Many movies run continuously. It's over here. So, and again, this is our ancestors running the simulation was promote their survival. Do we need survival right now? And the degree how our ancestors? We will talk about these mini movies a little bit later. So this simulation make us suffer. The brain continues to produce simulations today, even when they have nothing to do with staying alive. The simulators pulls you out of the present moment. So, and I guess you understand what does it mean. If you need to concentrate on something, or you have a presentation, or you're at work, or you're driving, or you're meditating, and accidentally, suddenly you catch yourself 1,000 miles away, or with the conversation with your spouse, or some upsetting situation with your children or friends. And usually those clips 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 seconds long, and they are running continuously. For example, it can be a clip, what he said, or then next clip, what I could answer. And we are running that clip, that mini movie, all the time. Not all the time, can be half an hour, can be longer, can be the whole day. So again, what we need to do, just catch ourselves on that, because this simplistic view is doesn't give us any growth. We are just simply stuck in it. The future is imaginary, the past is already past, and you already built your answer. That's mean maybe it's time to stop. But this is the function again of our brain, of our unconsciousness. In the simulator, pleasures usually seem pretty great. We talked already about it. It's just again a good reminding. Many movies keep us stuck by their simplistic view of the past or imaginary future. We talked already about it. Do I have a volunteer to read? This is in sum. Guys, would you like to read, please? Yes, Richard, thank you.
In sum, the simulator takes you out of the present moment and sets you chasing after carrots that aren't really so great, while ignoring more important rewards. Its mini movies are full of limiting beliefs. Besides reinforcing painful emotions, they have you ducking sticks that never actually come your way or aren't really all that bad. And the simulator does this hour after hour, day after day, even in your dreams, steadily building neural structure, much of which adds to your suffering.
Thank you, Richard. So now this is a summary of what we talk. So let's move ahead. This is review. I don't want to spend much time on it because it's just review of everything what we were talking: separation, stabilizing systems, and approaching opportunities while avoiding threats. These strategies are very effective for survival. They also make you suffer. You're actually connected with the world and depend upon it. Your brain produces uncomfortable signals of threat. Since everything keeps changing, these signals keep coming. You'll approach what's pleasant, avoid what's unpleasant, and move on from what's neutral. We evolved to pay great attention to unpleasant experiences. This negativity bias overlooked good news, highlights bad news, and creates anxiety and pessimism. The brain was a wonderful capacity to simulate experiences, but there is a price. The simulator pulls you out of the moment. Plus, it sets you chasing pleasures that aren't that great and resisting pains that are exaggerated or not even real. So it's everything we covered, guys. And what we can do so far, we just need to be aware of it. And try to catch yourself. Try to watch yourself, what we are doing. And when we catch ourselves, our suffering will get less right away. And then when it will be a habit, we will suffer less. And compassion for yourself helps reduce your suffering. I skipped this because it's a big chapter. We don't have time to discuss it. And the last topic for today, the first and second darts. Dart is very, very interesting. And we talked already about it. It's what Ben was saying, that some physical discomfort is unavoidable and some mental discomfort is inevitable too. What do we need to do? Just know about it. We try to avoid it. We try to avoid it. Guys, sometimes it's unavoidable. So what do we need? Just meet. If some discomfort or discomfort, how to say correct, sorry, appeared and it's unavoidable, just accept it, how Richard said. Stop to avoid every uncomfortable situation. And some mental discomfort is inevitable. Also accept it, embrace it. This is life. And it would be easy. We will stop to resist it, and it would be easy. It would be like breathing fresh air. This is what Buddha said. Unescapable physical or mental discomfort is the first dart of existence. So it's unavoidable. We should have it. As long as you live and love, some of those darts will come your way. First darts are unpleasant, to be sure. Yes, I also didn't say that, oh, they're wonderful. Yes, they're unpleasant, but it's life. But then we add our reactions to them. And these reactions are second darts, the ones we throw ourselves. And the most interesting fact, most of our suffering comes from second darts. Remarkably, most of our second dart reactions occur when there is in fact no first dart anywhere to be found. So it's already the event past, danger past, unpleasant past, but we still contemplating about it. We still keep our mini movies. We are throwing second darts. Years sometimes, and years, sometimes decades. So we are basically poisoning ourselves. Social and emotional conditions run into the same neural network as physical pain. This is important. This is said that because it's run the same neural network, we have emotional pain, which is equal physical pain. When we're stressed, we set up for fear and anger, and a negative direction is in priority. Now the driver of careening car thinks everybody else is an idiot. Familiar situation, right? So what do you think about all of it? What is your share with us? Or this is like, to me, it's everything clear and a good reminder. Anybody wants to share?
What is your question again?
This is just, I'm asking to share your opinion about it. Yes, Richard.
About this chart?
Yes, about the first and second dart, about this slide, what is written, everything. Yes, Richard, please.
Well, these darts are painful, and so the ones we gotta look out for are the ones others throw at us, and the ones we throw at ourselves, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, and mostly we need to look at second darts, because when the first darts are thrown in us, we need to manage them, to handle them, to fix them, but don't throw the second darts, right? Yes, Richard, thank you. Rachel?
Sorry.
Hello?
Yes, Rachel, we are listening to you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, we have time, speaking about our brain. I mean, there's time between the action and our reaction. And I guess one of the principles, like a lot of the teachings, are to pause before you react. And in that moment, you have more clarity than just impulsively reacting, which is what is normal for us to do. So I guess it's developing that ability to have space between the action and the reaction to anything.
Thank you, Rachel. Yes, good aiding. Maria, please.
Yes, I agree with Rochelle was saying that if we take space and we take time and we breathe before we react, then we can minimize the physical or mental discomfort that comes with the first start. So
yes, yes, I agree with you guys. Thank you. What I want to say, I think while you are completely correct, you are talking about immediate reaction. And how I understood, I don't say that I'm correct. This is talking about longer second darts. Like you can throw the second darts, even how it said the first darts anywhere not found. It means you can throw those second darts on next day, and next week, and next month. How I mentioned, people can throw these second darts for years.
Yeah, it's I mean, the first dart can really affect you and traumatize you. It's just one time and a traumatic experience, and that could be a first dart. And if you don't heal yourself or work on resolving whatever is causing you discomfort and physical and emotional discomfort, it will continuously be affecting you.
Exactly.
Yes, and our interpretation differs from one person to another. I can have the same experience as you do, but I can interpret it in a different way than you would. And the interpretation of it is what will create the intensity of the emotional and mental discomfort.
Exactly. So guys, what to do again? Thank you, Maria. Very good, again. So what to do? Again, just recognize. Do you see, actually, our action is very simple. Recognize. First, we was recognizing that many movies, right? First, we was recognizing that our brain is drawn naturally to bad news. Naturally, it's stored negative information, scary information. We need to know about it. Then it was about many movies, about simulation. Also, we need to know about it. Now we just need to remember first darts or second dart. Just ask yourself, when you caught yourself into some frustration, hey, what I'm doing, is it, and ask yourself, is it the first dart or is it the second dart? Is something dangerous right now, or I'm still afraid? But if I'm still afraid, it means the second. It's no danger right now. It's already the second dart. And what to do with the second dart? We learned. We usually learn from the first dart, right? It's done. So done. Move ahead. Make an effort. Everything is an effort. Nothing is come like a magic wand. And this chronic central nervous system stimulation increases risks for physical and mental health problems. And everybody knows we won't need to just glance with your eyes quickly. So gastrointestinal, immune, cardiovascular, endocrine, and mental consequences. I'll give you just a minute that you would glance over. So because any dramatic situation is preserved in our unconscious mind as a potential problem. Do you remember we talked already? The problem is gone, but the unconscious mind is still controlling our behavior, waiting kind of for triggers like words, smell, sound, situation, action. And these triggers are controlling our behavior and bringing us into the past trauma. So we need to know about it and ask yourself, is it I am doing, it's my conscious doing, or it's my unconscious is ruling by me? We can do it. This is very briefly, this is very interesting. So this is the stages of our progress. So on stage number 1, you are caught in a second dart reaction and even don't realize it. You understand it's a person who caught it, but he doesn't realize it. So let's be better, let's be higher than the stage number 1. Stage number 2, you realize you've been hijacked by greed, anger, hatred, etc., but cannot help yourself. Sometimes I can find myself in stage 2. Stage 3, some aspect of the reaction arises, but you don't act in out. You feel irritated, but remind yourself that your partner does a lot for you already, and getting cranky will just make things worse. And sometimes I caught myself here. So this is doesn't mean that a person can be only in one stage. Person can be in 2 or even 3 stages. About 4, I don't know. But 2, 3 stages is possible. On stage 4, the reaction doesn't even come up. Woohoo! Wow, wonderful. And sometimes you forget you ever had the issue. You understand that there is no milk, and you calmly figure out what to do now with your partner. So of course, guys, this is our goal. I really want to be in this stage. Anybody wants to share opinion? Your opinion?
It reminds me of the stages of grief. These stages 1, 2, 3, 4. A bit. It reminds me of the stages of grief when you go through grief. There are 7 stages, and the last stage is when you are at peace, like you realize, okay.
Yeah.
So I think everybody goes through these stages at some point. And it would be nice to just be on stage 4, because that would create so much peace and understanding. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Maria. Katie, please.
I know this seems like common sense, but I do believe that you can get to stage 4 if you just keep practicing every day and with every emotional interaction. I feel like your physical body and your emotional state will be the cue and the indicator to tell you what stage you're in. And so that would be the signal for you that, that you're getting emotionally unbalanced and that you're not in stage 4 yet. But it's still, a vigilant practice, daily practice, and again, to listen to your inner emotional state as to what.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, beautiful lady. Richard, please.
I love creamer with my coffee. But if someday I run out, I could get pretty upset and say, why didn't you remind me to go get the creamer? Or I could just say, well, I guess I'll use milk and sugar today, and I'll head to the grocery store this afternoon.
Yes, yes. So you're basically saying that you can be in several stages, right? But if you control yourself, definitely you can be in stage 4. Yeah, thank you, Richard. Guys, a brief review, and we are. I would like that we would share what we learned today, or remind ourselves. Some physical and mental discomfort are unavoidable. They are the first darts of life. When we react to a first dart with greed, hatred, and delusion, we start throwing second darts at ourselves and others. In fact, we often toss second darts even when no first dart is to be found. Most people experience chronic second dart cascades with numerous negative consequences for their physical and mental health. Do I have a volunteer to read?
I will.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm in the parking lot waiting for my son.
Thank you, Maria.
Okay. I will start from the top. Some.
The best.
Oh, the best. Okay.
Yeah.
The best odds prescription for a long, good life is a baseline of mainly PNS arousal with mild SNS activation of vitality.
Parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system.
Combined with occasional central nervous system spikes for major opportunities or threats. Being with whatever arises, working with the tendencies of mind to transform them, and taking refuge in the ground of being are the essential practices of the path of awakening. In many ways, these practices correspond respectively to mindfulness, virtue, and wisdom. On the path of awakening, keep going. Lots of little moments of practice will gradually and truly increase your contentment, kindness, and insight.
Thank you, Maria. Beautiful reading. So this is, you remember from school, we have 2 parasympathetic nervous system and sympathetic nervous system, and they are working together. So one sympathetic nervous system is, I think, for calmness, and the parasympathetic for arousal. So basically what is said, that a little bit of stress in our life is good. It's basically make you stronger. And it's first darts. So don't afraid stress. Don't avoid it. Our avoidance actually make us suffer even more, because we try to avoid unavoidable. So meet whatever is coming in your life, but do not throw the second darts. So do not prolong your stress, because stress is good like in a small amount, like a cherry on the top. And it will be actually long and good life. But if we prolong our stress, then it's problems. Guys, we have just one slide more, and I want to hear like your feedback, not of course about me, about what you learn, what you will take with you, what will you practice for 2 weeks. This is the last slide. It's for those people who wants to be Buddha. So let's read it and share our opinions. Anybody wants to read?
I love reading, so I can.
Go ahead, Maria. I like when you read.
All
It's
right.
beautiful.
A path of practice. As the saying goes, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Oh wow! Isn't that what I said earlier?
Yes, yes.
If you can simply stay present with whatever is arising in awareness, whether it is a first start or a second one, without reaching further, then you will break this chain of suffering right there. Over time, through training and shaping your mind and brain, you can even change what arises, increasing what's positive and decreasing what's negative.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's very beautiful and very true. And it goes along with what Katie?
Katie? Katie?
Yes, that's fine.
It goes along with what, her train of thoughts that we do. We can practice and train ourselves to reshape our way of thinking. If we do that, then we can decrease the negative and increase the positive. It's all about how we perceive things and how we interpret things. This for me, that is where we become more in control of ourselves, is knowing is the interpretation and in which we interpret things. It's like how we interpret and perceive whatever happened to us, whatever come to us, so.
Yes, Maria, I absolutely agree with you. Okay, guys, we have a couple of minutes. We are in a good time. We did everything that I planned. Thank you for your patience. So, what would you like to share with us at the end? What do you bring with you? Yes, Katie.
Thank you. I feel my biggest takeaway from this session is that it's giving me more empathy to the human race now that I realize the physical basis for so many of our reactions and the conditioning we've had. So I feel like this session is gonna make me more patient with others. And that's beautiful. I'm not going to say I'll enable people and I'll still set healthy boundaries as I'm guided, but I think it's going to give me a lot more patience and empathy with humanity now that I realize the biological underpinnings for why we do what we do and why we react the way we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. What a beautiful response. And Katie, I hope you understand why I try to put it into the physical perspective of our meeting. So I'm sorry that I was stopping you when you were talking about spirituality, but we would be lost if we would talk about spirituality. I hope you understand me.
Yes, I understand. I really appreciate it. It helped me take a step back and really just embrace the teachings. And, and that's why I got to the realization that I just shared. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful realization. Thank you, Katie. Richard, please.
I guess the one thing that stuck with me is on one of the slides at the very end. It says that pain is often exaggerated and also not even real. And so I'll think about that further.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else? Just whatever will come on your mind. What stuck with you, what you will take with you.
That is it's in your mind. It's that suffering, we do suffer, but when we state it's optional. So we decide the degree of our suffering, so that's what really stuck for me. I'm like, we do suffer, but it is optional.
Absolutely.
It's but how you train your mind to think, and you should think in a positive way majority of the times, and don't let the negative overtake the positive.
Yes, thank you, Janet. Very, very good adding. So we just need to remember that it's not an easy job, but it's complete possible. So our brain is already like a highway. We are bringing situation from outside, put in our head, and it's running what we used to do. And then it's giving us the result, and we are behaving according to that. So we just, in order to, but you know that brain is plasticity, we can change it. This is why the beginning mind uses the brain and brain uses the mind, and they are all integrated. So in order to make some changes in your brain, just imagine we are walking in a forest. First time we walked, it's nothing, even if we don't see the path, right? Then we walk the second time, we walk the third time, the fourth time, and oh, suddenly we started to see the little path, like it's winding and they're very thin. But then we walk, then we cut the bushes, then we cut a little bit the trees, some sides. Oh, it's already the path. And then we even can put some pave on that, and then we finally see the road. And with our brain, be very patient. This is exactly how it will work. Very precisely, very persistently, but every day, and we will change everything what we want. Maria, please. Oh, Maria, you didn't lower your hand, right?
No. There was one particular word that really sticks out for me, and it is that the word greed. It was mentioned a few times there, and it's greed. Like sometimes we're too greedy and we don't even know it. And when sometimes we want to get things our way, and we might self-inflict pain, and by doing that we also inflict pain onto others.
Yes.
So the word greed for me is very powerful. It can create problems, you know.
Exactly, Maria, I agree. Okay, guys, we have Sean. If you can, would you like to say a couple of words?
I enjoyed the meeting very well. I thought it was very enlightening. It was nice to meet new people too. So I'll be looking forward to seeing everyone again.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for your feedback. Okay, guys, we are in a perfect time. It's 8:30. We are superhumans. I will post this meeting on YouTube, and it will be, you can look on YouTube. I am now. If you would like, send me your phone and I'll send you the link, because we have a group chat on WhatsApp. And let me see. Do I have? Yeah, I have some phones, but not many. So I have some. Jeanette, okay, I'll send to you. Katie, I'll send to you. Okay, guys. So the rest, I actually, Maria, Richard, Sean, I know. Okay, guys, have a great rest, good rest, sweet dreams. Thank you for joining. I really hope you learned something or refreshed something. Please practice, catch yourself, watch yourself, what you're doing. It will be for 2 weeks, and I will see you in 2 weeks on Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
Question.
Yes.
No more Mondays?
Oh, Mondays is 7 Habits.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, absolutely. And see you on 7 Habits this Monday.
Okay. Good night.
Yes, Janet, if you are, if you would like, welcome to join us 7 Habits.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Katie, for joining.